Well, we are in an era that is dominated by social media, and it could be important for parents to understand social media and the concerns they may have for their children. Our education expert, Ms. Jennifer Brinker from Greenwood Middle School, is here this morning to kind of talk with us about just the importance of parents being able to understand social media. And I guess the first question, Ms. Brinker, is how important is social media to children?
It's very important to them, and there are actually some positives to social media. We hear a lot about the negatives, but number one, it's entertaining. It's a great way to socially connect. It gives kids a very creative outlet for self-expression, and all those are wonderful things. The problem is when it's used when kids aren't developmentally ready for it or improperly, then it can become dangerous, actually.
And I guess what would be the dangers of social media, if you can elaborate on that?
Well, first of all, just privacy concerns, online predators, things like that are very scary. But as a middle school administrator, cyberbullying has become such a huge issue. It's a lot easier to say something cruel behind a screen. We all know that. And so it's also harder to track. So you might have a child being cyberbullied, and maybe that site gets shut down or that account gets shut down. They can create another anonymous account where they're coming after the kid again and again and again, and it just becomes very difficult to track. And so with all of that happening, that leads to what I would say is the biggest concern or danger, which are issues with mental health.
Yeah, and that's really important. You know, now I feel like we do so many stories with mental health and maybe children getting bullied. Talk about just the impact, like mentally, social media is having on children.
Well, I mean, there are all kinds of studies that show that anxiety and depression can be linked to teens and preteens with social media. And part of that is you have to remember what a teenager's brain is like. And their brain, it's in the process of development. It's not the final outcome yet. And they are very critical on themselves. So then when you couple that with just the endless amount of images they're seeing that are unattainable, that are, let's face it, not real, heavily filtered, and marketed in a very specific way for kids, that can be very detrimental. And you know, it's hurtful for a kid to know their friends are hanging out without them. Now they're flooded with images of their friends having fun without them. They value themselves highly based on likes and followers. Yeah. And again, that's all a very artificial thing. So, you know, that can hurt their mental health and impact them, and they can actually even become addicted to where they are just mindlessly, when you think of the zombies just kind of scrolling through, we're seeing that more and more with kids.
All right, great talking points, Ms. Brinker. We appreciate you joining us this morning. And of course, we'll have all this information as well as these tips on our website at WTHR.